Hey, Sal.
Hank, what's going on? We haven't worked a case in years.
I just bought my car at Carvana, and it was so easy. Too easy.
Think something's up?
You tell me. They got thousands of options. Found a great car at a great price. And it got delivered the next day.
It sounds like Carvana just makes it easy to buy your car, Hank.
Yeah, you're right. Case closed.
Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Hey, Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dybert. Thank you again for tuning back in and joining the USC LAFB YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification, all the goodies, just so you stay updated and informed whenever we drop the latest videos, because we drop a lot every day, and we'll continue to do that moving forward throughout the entirety of the offseason. As I am recording, it is halftime of the Peach Bowl, and Oregon is getting absolutely obliterated by Indiana. So, I'm not talking about that, but crazy to see that is what's happening. I have believed that Indiana is like the best team in college football. I think Curt Cignetti is probably the best coach in college football. I think that at this point is really no doubt. We'll see what it looks like next year, but up until right now, he is clearly on another level that all coaches are trying to get to. So I thought they would win. There's a whole half of football to play. Things can happen, but man, that's crazy. But I wanted to get on here at halftime and talk because I've been teasing this, and then things just keep happening with the transfer portal, with Husan last night leaving. But I've been teasing, I want to actually talk about some defensive coordinators, because so many people, including myself, are like, hey, maybe this scenario is playing out. Maybe they're waiting for a guy in the NFL that's still coaching. Maybe they're waiting for a guy in college that's still coaching. But no one's really giving names. No one's really providing any information. And not even necessarily, this isn't intel necessarily. This is more just my kind of opinion looking at who's available. And I want to at least give you some names that, you can think about and process. And, we'll see if it ends up being any of these ultimately, or if it still, I think in-house is an option. As I've been saying all along, it's odd that it hasn't been, if it was in-house, it's a little odd that it hasn't been announced. But obviously we know with the transfer portal closing now in a week, I think regardless of if it's in-house or out-of-house, they're just going to wait till after the portal is closed. Again, I think there's 100% that there's a plan in place that they're relaying to these kids, and that's why they're getting these commitments. But not saying this in any bad way, but if they wait till after to make it official, it's not like anyone can then leave and hit the portal. Everyone's got to see it through and see how things progress with how the staff is in terms of player retention. So that could be, I'm not saying that is, but that's just kind of the thought process of why now if it's been this long, I would not expect it to happen until after the portal is closed at this point. Could be wrong, but some names. And so here's how I've kind of thought about it. I think there's, a few free agents, if you will, a few guys out there that are just available and could come in right away, which again, you would think would happen soon, or maybe already has a behind the scenes deal and just not announced yet. So I've got a couple of those, a few kind of NFL or just coaching, legends, if you will, kind of older names that are now in the back years, the back half of their coaching careers, and not even necessarily DCs, but have done it so many times they could come in at USC and kind of oversee. And then a few kind of names, or at least, two really names that are real rising stars, up and comers that will be DCs next year, I believe. The question is, will it be for USC or for someone else? So I want to start with, I think this actually would be a home run hire. There's been talk now that there's mutual interest. I believe there's some chatter that, and whether it's an interview or a conversation, however you want to divulge that, has actually happened. I think that, I have not confirmed personally, but I've seen some others out there have said that the conversation and interest between USC and former TCU head coach Gary Patterson is potentially real. Now, whether that actually comes to a hire is a whole nother story. We all know the Pete Kwiatkowski thing was a real thing, a conversation, a mutual interest. But obviously we know how that kind of that's why you have these conversations, right? You see how the fit is and how it works. Gary Patterson, to me, would actually be a home run hire. I think at first people would probably scratch their heads. The fit might be a little weird, when you think about his lineage and where he comes from and the Big 12 all those years, and now coming to USC, LA, Big 10. But when you really start to think about it more, it actually is kind of exciting, in my opinion. I mean, here's a guy who is essentially the godfather of the 4-2-5 defense, which USC, Dan Lynn ran different variations. I think nowadays most D coordinators, especially at the top level, are not confined to one scheme. They adapt their players. They run a bunch of different looks. They might have a base package, which people would call like, hey, that's their scheme, but they're running so much nickel and dime and different stunts and different packages. But Gary Patterson created essentially the 4-2-5 scheme. And if you just look at USC's roster as it's constructed, it really fits the 4-2-5. They ran a lot of that. I mean, what we don't want to see, which we have seen some, is guys like Braylon Shelby dropping back into coverage. If you're doing kind of a 3-4 or even a different disguise or something like that, and you drop one of your backers back in coverage, I don't think that behooves the roster well. I don't think you want Cam Crawford or Braylon Shelby in coverage. You want them truly as just one of your 4 essentially down linemen. Now you can run a 4-2-5 and have a stand-up backer. If you don't have to get so technical on that, but you have your 4 rushers kind of at all times, your 2 backers and your 5 defensive backs. I'm not going to behoove that in too much more. We've talked about it a lot, but I think that really fits the USC roster as it stands. It fits kind of the coaching staff as it stands. Coach Henne ran a lot of that at the Rams when he was with the Rams, right? Like, I think when you look at his time at the Rams, Wade Phillips, Brandon Staley, Raheem Morris, all ran different variations. They would probably, if you look it up, it would say all 3 of those guys' base packages is a 3-4 base. But when you just look at the Rams and you look at some of those defensive lines, it was 4 down linemen. And it was, even their Super Bowl year that Von Miller is considered an outside backer, like, you're not dropping him back in coverage very often. Maybe every now and then a few plays, but typically they're rushing 4-2-5 guys with that stand-up backer being that 4th kind of guy, which is what USC would do with Crawford or Shelby, or what they have done, essentially. So I'm not going to bore you with all the semantics, but I think Gary Patterson fits in that realm in terms of schematic fit with the personnel. I think he's a highly respected coach. Really did really good at TCU for his time. 3 years in a row, he had the top defense in the country at TCU, with a lot less talent than those around him. He's coached against Lincoln Riley when Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma, at Texas Tech, those Big 12. So obviously there's some knowledge there together. He was a head coach for 20 plus years. So he brings that knowledge in to, another voice in the room, another CEO-like type. And then he's also a guy that, has been kind of out of coaching. He's been an analyst for a number of teams. I think he was an analyst for Baylor this past year. Can come in and be the figurehead DC, be the CEO, enhance his scheme, be the play caller, but still essentially be grooming Coach Henne to eventually take over when he is fully ready, when everyone deems him as fully ready. If that's not right now, which it might be right now, but just kind of thinking through that, like, that's kind of what you want if you get one of these older, more well-known kind of defensive coordinators, is how can they then enhance the staff to then kind of take up the threshold when the time comes. Gary Patterson, like I said, hasn't been a head coach or coordinator since 2021. So how long does he really want to get back into that grind of that? Maybe he really does. I don't know. That's just kind of my thought of why that would work so well. A guy that can come in, be the figurehead, be the face, be the schematic guy, but kind of share play calling responsibilities with a Coach Henne or a Coach Belk, but you have that drop back of the guy that's done it for 20 plus years. If you get in a pinch, there's obviously that knowledge there. So I actually like Gary Patterson a lot. I think that's a really interesting free agent connection that I think actually would be a really good fit. So let me know your guys' thoughts on that. I think at first, like I said, most people would hear that and like, no way. I think the connections actually line up a lot better than many think, and would actually work really well with this team, with the system, with Coach Lincoln Riley. there'd be a real good connection there between the two of them and a really good working relationship between the two of them, which you have to have with all your coaches, but absolutely with your OC and DC. So Gary Patterson might be my number one out of house. If it's not Henne or Belk in house, Patterson might be my number one. The other kind of free agent that haven't heard any actual happening, but there's been connections. Chris Richard, former USC player, has been all over the league. Defensive. His most recent stint was a defensive backs coach for Jacksonville back in 2024. So right now, not. So another free agent. I said I have two free agents here. He was a co-defensive coordinator with the Saints. He was the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks back under Pete Carroll, 2015 to 2017. So certainly a guy that I think has some pedigree, has done it before, local guy, USC alum. I think that could be exciting as well, and could even be a co-DC title.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Hey, Sal.
Hank, what's going on? We haven't worked a case in years.
I just bought my car at Carvana, and it was so easy. Too easy.
Think something's up?
You tell me. They got thousands of options. Found a great car at a great price. And it got delivered the next day.
It sounds like Carvana just makes it easy to buy your car, Hank.
Yeah, you're right. Case closed.
Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Is it just me, or has watching TV gotten way too complicated? There are a million different services and too many bills to keep track of. Thankfully, there's Philo, a better way to TV. For as low as $33 a month, I get the channels I love. MTV, BET, Food Network, you name it. Plus, everything that AMC Plus has to offer. And guess what? They've added access to HBO Max Basic with Ads Plan and Discovery Plus, so I can enjoy all the best TV with one subscription. There are no contracts, no surprise fees, just one low price. And their DVR is awesome, too. I can save everything I love for up to a year and skip the ads when I rewatch them. A total game changer. I signed up directly at philo.tv. That's philo.tv. And if you subscribe today, you can get $8 off your first month. Philo's the easiest decision I've ever made. Now the hard one. Deciding what to binge next.
Because he's been out of the league, been out of football now for a year. Like, why not co-DC him with Coach Henne as he is right now, and you kind of tutor along the ways of that. So those are my two kind of free agents. Let's go now to the kind of elder statesman, if you will, which would, in a way, I think be similar to like a Gary Patterson type hire, to where you bring them in because they have the experience, they have the name recognition, they have the knowledge, but the future plan is to bring along a guy like Coach Henne to eventually take over. Like, you're not hiring one of these guys to be like your DC for the next decade. It's like, hey, come in, be the voice that has done that and can, get us out of a bind in these situations that the team can like have some real confidence in. But we're really looking for a mentor, if you will. So Dom Capers is a name. I'm sure you've all heard of Dom Capers. I don't know if that excites you at all, but he's currently the senior defensive assistant for the Carolina Panthers, who are in the playoffs right now. He is obviously up there in age, but the dude is a coaching legend. 75 years old. He's getting up there, but he has been all over football in college and in the NFL, obviously. Similar to like a Rob Ryan, started in college and has basically now been in the pros since the early 90s, I think, or even early 80s when he moved up. But he's been a DC for the Steelers. He was a head coach for the Panthers when they first were created. DC for the Jaguars. Head coach for the Texans when they were first created. DC for the Dolphins. DC for the Packers. And he's kind of just been defensive analysts or assistants kind of since 2019, since his stint with the Packers. So if he wanted to kind of have a larger role, a tutor role, I don't really think he does, but I at least want to throw the name out there because he is a legend in the game. And I think it would still be a solid hire in terms of the mentorship type. Essentially, a guy like Dom, when you hire a guy like Dom, it would be like, hey, we're basically making Henny our DC, Belk our DC, but we want to add someone else to that room that can certainly help on game days. Leslie Frazier, another similar legend of the game, great defensive mind. He is currently the Seahawks assistant head coach. Obviously, he is a defensive legend, was a head coach of Buffalo, been around the league forever, highly respected. And so another one of those guys that could come in and just kind of really be that true mentor. And lastly, on this kind of outlook, Gus Bradley. He is the 49ers assistant head coach of the defense. He's been, obviously not a very successful head coach at Jacksonville, but was a head coach at Jacksonville. And then he's been the DC for the Chargers, DC for the Seahawks, obviously under Pete Carroll. That's how he got his real known for, running Pete Carroll's defense and that cover three, defensive coordinator for the Raiders, the Colts, and then now he is with the 49ers. So similar, I won't say too much more, but another kind of name out there. All three of these guys are in the playoffs, which if it was any of them, I'm not saying it is, but take that for what you want. And then lastly, if you look at two kind of up-and-coming guys that will be, in my opinion, DCs, whether it's college or pros. And the first one, I think all USC fans have wanted. The question is, can USC or does USC want him? And that is Jim Leonhard, right? Currently Broncos pass game coordinator, has college experience at Wisconsin, former player, I think one of the rising stars in all of football. The question is, does he want to come back to college? Because he was one of the hot names before USC hired Dan Lynn, right? And he had just left college ranks and went to the Broncos essentially as just like an analyst. And so it would have been a huge promotion for him to get back in that defensive coordinator role since his time at Wisconsin. So whether it was USC going a different direction or whether he didn't want to come back yet to college, that we will see. But the word is right now, I know a bunch of, I'm originally from Denver, know a bunch of Broncos people. The Cowboys are going to push hard for him to be their defensive coordinator. So the question is, if USC is interested and he has both those offers, the Cowboys or the Trojans, would he rather be a DC in the NFL or in college? I think both are obviously great jobs. People compare which one's better. I think it just depends if you like pros or college. But USC would certainly be competing with the likes of the Cowboys, which is tough competition, obviously. But if there is interest, that is obviously a name that a lot of people would get excited about. And he would be the true defensive coordinator. He would take over the DC and that would be your DC as long as you can keep him. And then the other name, Aubrey Pleasant with the Rams, obviously has a connection with Coach Henny. He's here in LA. Coach Riley, Coach McVay are good buddies, both the two head coaches. He's the assistant head coach and the pass game coordinator. He's called games in the preseason when, Coach Sean McVay does that, lets position coaches kind of become the coordinators or non-play callers become the play callers for preseason games. Highly respected, not just around the league, but specifically, obviously, with the Rams team as a developer of talent, as a guy that is really instrumental in running Chris Shula's defense and helping in the week-to-week preparation. So Aubrey Pleasant, I believe, will be a DC this season, whether it's Chris Shula, the Rams DC, gets a head coaching gig and the Rams promote Aubrey Pleasant, whether it's one of the new, or Chris Shula gets that coaching gig and takes Aubrey Pleasant with him to be his DC, whether it's one of the open coaching gigs takes him, or if it's one of these college positions, and why not USC? So I know USC fans get nervous. That's the whole reason why they don't want to promote within, because they want an established defensive coordinator. But another name I want to put out there. So there you go. There you have it. Random name too, just to throw at you. If USC decides to promote Coach Henny or Coach Belk, but I kind of lean Coach Henny as maybe a little closer to that. He is the co-DC after all. There's a lot of, this is just chatter amongst fans of you hire Coach promote Coach Henne, bring back Coach O to be the offensive line coach or defensive line coach, excuse me. Obviously, I'd love that. That'd be a home run. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I haven't heard any chatter amongst the actual in the know that that's even like an option. One name, if this were to happen, if Henne gets promoted, and you would think he would bring in another D-line coach to, help him out. Now, obviously, there's plenty of defensive coordinators that are also coach a specific position. Just talking about Pete Kwiatkowski, he was, I believe, the outside linebacker coach as well. You can look at the teams that are in the college football playoff now. They have multiple. And Sean Nua can absolutely take on more responsibility on the defensive line, I believe. But if they did want to go and add another defensive line coach to the equation, Marcus Dixon is an interesting name. He is currently the defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings. Highly respected. Was with the Broncos to get his start in the NFL. Did a tremendous job with the Broncos defensive line. That was before the Vikings with the Broncos. And he got his start in the NFL as the assistant defensive line coach with the Los Angeles Rams under Coach Eric Henderson. So just a name to throw out there if Henne ends up being the guy getting the job, as maybe another voice to come in, another guy to come in who's had a lot of success at the NFL level and can bring that prowess with him. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. DC Watch. I feel like Anchorman, right? Like we do Panda Watch. That great scene with Paul Rudd when they do it, but it's like DC Watch. So I don't think we'll get an announcement. I feel like now we're not going to get an announcement until the portal closes. So it might be another 7 days or so. But I would say before, September 1st, we will know the defensive coordinator. Before Labor Day, a defensive coordinator for the USC Trojans will be announced. Let me know your thoughts on these. I'm getting kind of Gary Patterson. I'm kind of excited about it. Call me crazy. I know you will. So if you want to, call me crazy. But I'm a little kind of excited about that thought and that idea. But yeah, drop your comments below. Hit that like and subscribe. We'll be back all day tomorrow. It is the Navy All-American Bowl tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. on Peacock. I will have coverage for you talking about these 6 USC commits that have just been dominating all week at practices, and we'll see how they do in the game tomorrow. So keep it right here on the USC LAFB YouTube channel. Check out our message board over at LAFBnetwork.com. Sign up. It's free. All the intel there dropping for you. And as always, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat that you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose J.D. Mayav in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.